Hi, everyone. How are you? This is Functional Training Zone with our podcast, The Uncommon Connector. And today we are talking to Simone Pemberton. I am excited to talk to her. She is a personal friend of mine. So this is going to be an extra special interview. She is a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a horse enthusiast. And I am just super, super proud of her. So let's get started.
There is no one else in creation like you. There's nobody like you. And what you've come to do and what you have to offer is like no other.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Sponsored
excited to be
by.
here.
I'm excited too. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
Sure. So currently, I am the founder, and I call myself a career strategist of ProWorkz Career Services. So I run my business that I started last year, doing resume rewrites, cover letters, LinkedIn profile optimization, job search support, all of those things, because I saw way too many people that were talented and had so many skills and so much to contribute, but they weren't getting interviews and they weren't representing themselves well in their application documents. And so I was like, oh, I've done this for free for so long. I can do this for a business. I'm do it well, and it's helping others achieve their career goals. So that's kind of how this started. And then before that, I have like 18 years in different facets of human resources. So from employee relations to recruiting to staffing, private sector, federal. I wrote a lot of policy. I've done special projects. I've been in employee engagement, data analytics. So all of this in my corporate, experience kind of led up to what I can do for myself in my own business. So that's how I got here.
That is exciting. So we're going to go over how to contact you, but just right now, within the first, couple minutes of our interview, if somebody wanted to contact you, if they wanted to say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about what Simone has, what she does, what she brings to the table, how can they contact you? What's your social media? What is your LinkedIn page? What is your website?
Absolutely. So webpage is proworkzcareerservices.com. Works has a Z and not an S. My LinkedIn, you all can find me just searching Simone Pemberton. I am in the process of updating it with my business on there. And then, as far as an email, if anyone wants to send me an email, ProWorkz Career Services at outlook.com. Again, remember the Z and not an S. And then I am on Instagram, hopefully getting on Facebook soon with my business, but ProWorkz CS is where you can find me on Instagram.
That is super exciting. I wanted to mention that first and foremost because we have a lot of people reaching out to us right now, just with what's going on in the federal government that, need those services right away up front. And if they just listen to the first couple minutes of this podcast, I want them to be able to follow along with us, go to your website as we're talking so that they can take a quick look at it and know exactly how to contact you. But you mentioned that you did this for free. So is that what drew you to this career field to kind of make a business out of it? Because, I mean, if you're doing it for free, you might as well capitalize on it.
You might as well. The funny story, I'll make it short. You're just like, oh, I need to do something else to supplement my income, make a few extra things, a few extra dollars and stuff like that. And you're out here looking and applying, and it's like, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do this either. And I was doing friends' resumes for free. I helped a few people get some jobs, and my boyfriend was like, well, why don't you just do this? And I was like, oh, it was like a little light bulb went off in my head. Well, because of him. And I was like, oh, I could do this. And I applied to some other companies that were hiring resume writers. And some people don't want to hire you because, oh, you haven't done this professionally for so many years. So it's like, make your own way, right? And so it's like, I can do this. I have done this. I have proof that I've done it. And so I stood it up and I went through, I was a federal employee. I went through my agency's ethics process, got it cleared, and then here we are. I started almost, well, not almost, just a little over a year ago. So that's how I got here.
Well, that is very interesting. And I'm so happy to hear. Sometimes other people see the light in us when we don't see it. And I think that that's just such a testament that your boyfriend actually saw you doing this and he was like, hey, babe, like, let's make this work. I love that. And that just, is a testament to your story. So tell me about being a career counselor, like working a career strategist, I'm sorry, and helping with resume writing. Are there any courses, certifications? Um, how would you advise someone that says, hey, I feel that passion also, I'm also really good at helping folks, curtail their resume to a certain job profession to help them get to that end goal? What would you suggest for them in terms of courses or certifications, or even what degree did you get? Did you go to college? How was your path to getting to this end goal?
Sure. So, I mean, my educational background, I have a bachelor's in arts and economics from Spelman College, and then I went and got my master's in human resources. And that kind of started my corporate career, my federal career. And what I learned on the job, reviewing all the resumes, doing all the hiring, talking to all the hiring managers about, what they're looking for, what their needs are, that what allowed me to develop a better understanding of what people really need to be showing in their resume and their cover letters, things that are going to get them seen and not put in that, that little pile that gets tossed in the corner. So, yeah, I have my education. I feel like that got my foot in the door with my jobs to gain the actual hands-on experience. But I feel like I got that, and now I am working on an actual certification for career counseling or career consulting, kind of, right? Career coaching. And so I'll be starting that in June. And so I can expand my services to actually coach people and learn some different tactics, some different methods. They do have certified resume writing certifications that I will be working on as well. And I mean, they teach me the same things I've already known, and you'll always learn something new, but it's just a way for me to be able to show people, hey, I am certified in this. Like, I have recommendations and, referrals and everything and proof and people that have gotten jobs that show, hey, she knows what she's doing. But sometimes those letters behind your name are what other people want to see, or large companies, right? If you're going out for big contracts with companies to do coaching and things like that, they would like to see those things. So I think it's just been a combination. It hasn't just been one thing. It's been my work experience mainly that has led me to see what people really need to do to make their document strong. And then the other things will come and kind of refine my services.
Thanks so much. That was really great. What do you think is more valuable to you, your education or your job experience? I know you mentioned like a lot of certifications that you're going to get, but you also seem to have just a wide breadth of job experience also. How do you think that those two either work together, to just create your business profile?
So I think personally for me, right, I can't speak for everybody's experience. For me, my education was foundational, right? Like, I didn't go into economics in any kind of way, shape, or form, but it allowed me to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, experience college life, etc., right? But it was the work experience that has really been beneficial to me. The degrees have gotten me in the door. Like, people see the degrees and they're like, oh, great, like she has this, she checks the box. But doing the different types of things that I've done. So like, I was always trying to get internships when I was younger. I've done different types of HR jobs, right? I wasn't just staffing and recruitment. Like, I've done a whole bunch of different things that have allowed me to gain a variety of skills that I now use in my business. Like, it's crazy. Like, my last job, I was a program manager, and everything I did there aligns with me standing up my business, and from branding to promotion to, I mean, literally everything. So I think it is, if you're not interested in going to college, it's because it's not for everybody. I think getting the different types of experience will take people far. But education comes in different forms, right? You don't have to go to a 4-year university. You can go to a 2-year college if you want. You can go and do a trade. And it's just about learning and getting skills and growing and upskilling continuously. So for me, it's just been the constant try different things.
I agree. Since you first started, how do you think the industry's changed? I know there's been a lot of technology changes since even, our generation has been to college, So now there is Chat GPT, there's AI, there's all kinds of, assisted writing samples that people use. Just how has all of that changed and how has that affected you in, your profession?
For sure. I think, I do use Chat GPT when I'm crafting.
Is Chat GPT? Please tell me what Chat GPT is. Maybe I can use it.
Right. Chat GPT is amazing. I will say that it's like my little assistant and little business partner because I just run, it's like my thought partner. But it's a program, right? I guess it's like a web an app or whatever, and you can just use it for anything. If you need to craft better language for like my resumes and my cover letters, if you need a business proposal, if you need to refine emails quickly, it just helps people do their jobs better. Like when I was building out Power BI dashboards for my last job, I had to use these things called measures, and basically it's a bunch of calculations to present data the way I wanted to. That takes a long time to learn. And ChatGPT helped me figure out certain things and how to learn measures and how to appropriately put them into this dashboard so that I could build it out quicker. So it helps you do things in a more efficient manner. I personally don't think it replaces the human touch. So speaking specifically about my business, yes, I do use it to craft certain language and to make sure things are speaking the way I want them to be, to be shared. But you still have to know, like, what does a good resume look like? What, do you have to capture? What's the proper formatting? I have consultations with all my clients, and I understand the nuances of their career journey. And so I have to capture all of that information in order to tell their career story the best way possible. People think AI is, oh, I can stick my resume in there and then bam, it's a new resume. It'll be new, but it's not going to be accurate and it's not going to be the best fit for the jobs that you're looking for, or it may be too over customized. So I say all of that because I find AI to be an incredible resource, and it's going to really make things a lot more automated, a lot quicker going forward. But you still have to have the foundational knowledge that comes with doing different jobs, going to school in whatever way, shape, or form that you do it. You can't just rely on AI because it will put in stuff that's inaccurate. And you have to know what is incorrect and what isn't, what is correct and what isn't, so that you can correct it. So yeah, a great tool, but it doesn't replace us as humans.
Okay. I made up this word that I use often, automagically, right? And because I worked on this tool one time and they were like, well, it's going to automate everything. And I was like, oh, it's going to automagically do it. So AI and ChatGPT are not automagically going to replace the person in terms of giving it that humanistic touch, but they are assisted tools that help in just articulating the points that you want to get across.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some pros and cons in this field? Like, tell me something about being an entrepreneur, right? Pros and cons of that, pros and cons of just kind of stepping out on your own and making, having to work with the public and, selling yourself.
Yeah. So I am new to 100%, the entrepreneurial experience. It was part-time, along with my federal job. And so it is very different in some very good ways and different in some challenging, but not like detrimental ways, right? So good as in I found my new passion. So just for some context, I was a federal employee for 12 years. I got rift, so I was caught up in the reduction in forces. And it's like, oh my gosh, like the stability that I once knew or once had or once loved and hung on to is now gone. But now it's like, this is your time to do what you're really passionate at and what you're really good at. And so just leaning into that fully. And so I worked hard for, 18 years for somebody else. And, like everybody keeps telling me, time to work hard for yourself, right? And so, but working hard for yourself it'll be like, all right, I start at 6 a.m., take a break at 5, go take the dog out, have a little downtime, and then I'm back on doing stuff from like 8 until like 11 o'clock, right? To meet client deadlines because my turnaround has to be quick for some urgent applications. And, working on the weekends right now. Just all sorts of hours. So those are challenging, but because I am building my brand and myself, like they don't bother me because I worked some hours for the other companies too, you know? So I think, you have to market yourself. So I'm having to step out of my comfort zone. I am an introvert, but I have to go out here and I have to talk to people all the time. And I have to tell people about my services and myself and make those connections, which has been good, but is not what I've had to do before. So it's constantly like, all right, push yourself, do webinars, do workshops. I'm not a fan. I don't like public speaking, right? But these are things you have to do as an entrepreneur, or you're just not going to no one's going to know what you're doing or what your business is about. So constantly just stepping out of the comfort zone is something new.
I like that you mentioned that because, we kind of have a motto here at FTZ, what doesn't challenge you doesn't change you.
Mhm.
And you speak that you're an introvert. I call myself an introvert extrovert, right? Like I love to be home. I love to be, in my little bubble. I love being out in my garden with my flowers, right? Like
Mhm.
that is what I love. And then I'll get in a room full of people and I'll be a chatty Cathy and everyone's like, "Oh my God, she's such an extrovert." And I'm like, "Actually, I really just want to go home." But I will talk your ear off if you give me the opportunity. So I feel like that's how you and I first met. You have such a funny story. Like when you first saw me, you were like, you didn't say anything. You just stood there. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm an introvert. Okay. But now we have this amazing relationship that I'm so thankful for. I'm learning about you as a person, about all your skill sets, about your career field and about your hobbies. So I am so excited to call you a horse enthusiast, a mentor to my daughter, okay, which a teacher to my daughter, like exactly what I have the cutest picture of you guys, which we will show on here. And do you remember that night
No,
when
but you
you
need
guys
to send it to me.
yeah, okay. Yes, it has a couple other of the girls in it, and you were just like bringing them along with you. You and your favorite daughter, I'm gonna call her, and let's talk a little bit about like work-life balance and what you do to decompress after a long day of being on, right? You say owning your own business. You can be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the weekends all the time, getting folks what they need, especially during this critical time of government downsizing and, getting people their resumes so that they could then move on to their next career steps. But what do you do to feed into yourself?
Yes. So I have a horse. I have a horse. So everybody, I have a horse. Her name is Dior, and I have been riding for over, God, 30 years, and it has just been my my heart, right? Like I've taken breaks from it because, life and finances and stuff like that, but I've always come back and I felt the void like when I wasn't doing it. And it's just like, man, this is just something I just have to do for myself. And I guess a quick little personal story. Because I just remember, I think I was like 30, and I was like, I'm gonna get a horse. I'm gonna get a horse again. Now, my timeline, horses are expensive. My timeline got pushed out, but I think I got her at 36 or something like that. 30, yeah, 36. And I was like, I did it. And I have these Facebook posts, they come up and they're like, oh, a memory. And I have one that's like saying, I'm gonna get a horse when I'm 30. And I was like, I did it. A little off track from my timeline, but that's okay. And it's been the best thing. Like, and she's young, and we've had our challenges with training, but we're in a really good place now. And so I'm so busy though with like trying to do this business and everything. Like, I get out right now once a week for a lesson because I'm like, I have to keep my skills up. And then I've leased her out to a junior rider who is loving her and living her best life and going to take her to shows. And I'm like, yay. So I get to go and see her show and I still get what I need and she still gets trained. And so that for me is the most important thing to keep me sane because when I'm riding, I don't think about anything. I mean, nothing but enjoying my time with my horse. And yeah, I mean, literally, 2 o'clock, I'm going to have to head up there because I moved her to a barn that's far away. So it's the passion. It's like I moved her far away to get this, the training she needed. And I don't care if that I have to sit in this Friday traffic because I'm going to go get my lesson. And so that has been wonderful and showing. So think that's my biggest thing. We were talking about mental health earlier. Like in our community and in the community, everybody's community, right? But like mental health is a stigma around it, especially Black communities. And now it's not so much. And it's like, oh, this is everybody needs it. Everybody has things they have to work through, talk through, bounce ideas off. So I do, like, I go see my therapist and I tell her, yo, I'm talking about this business thing. And it's just, I've done that since 2017. That has been incredibly helpful just to navigate life challenges and stuff like that. So I know adults can relate, but if any younger people watch this, it's fine. Everybody needs it. Everybody goes to the therapist, or everybody should go. So those are two things. And the regular things, hanging out with my friends and family, and I have a little dog that I take on walks. So that's mainly what I do.
That is awesome. So you mentioned a couple things that really, really touch close to my heart. My daughter is an equestrian, and she always says, Mom, I need my barn time. I need my barn time. And I'm like, I don't even understand that. I can't wrap my head around it. But when she goes to the barn, she's not on her devices. She is completely locked in and caring for caring for her animal and caring for her horse. And she can literally spend hours out there just de-associating from everything that bothers her. And it's really something that I have learned from her that, hey, this is her time to step away and this is what she needs. There's, very little internet connection when she goes. We kind of go out in the woods a little bit to this one barn that she goes to, and like she absolutely loves it. So I could see how that can definitely help with just kind of refocusing you and helping, with your mental health. Thank you for being so honest and candid that, you do see a therapist and that's who you bounce ideas off of. And sometimes that's what we need to, bounce ideas off of somebody that has a completely neutral stance in our life and can say, yeah, no, that is something that you should do and something, to definitely hone in on. Another thing that you mentioned, you said, I wanted to have a horse when you were 30 and you got her when you were 36. Just because it didn't come when you said you wanted it didn't mean that you stopped working towards that. And that's something I truly admire. So for everybody listening out there, just because society says, or you say, or okay, I'm going to have this by this age and that by this age, and I'm going to, have a baby by 30, and I'm going to be married by 27. And that does not mean that just because it doesn't happen at those ages that you've set in your head, that it's not going to happen. It will happen. You just have to work towards it. You have to feed into it more. You have to give it more time to grow. And I love that you mentioned that, because I think that we'll get down on ourselves because we don't have that college degree by 24. We got it when we were 35, right? Or we didn't buy our first homes at 27. We bought them when we were 42. And that is okay. You just have to keep working toward those goals. And thank you for sharing that, because maybe not everyone's goal is to buy a horse, but it lends to the fact that if you have obtainable goals, you will get them. You will get there as long as you keep working toward it. So I love to hear that testament. I love to hear that. So besides Dior, who I have personally met, I've never ridden Dior before. I will
You put
say,
you on there. Lead
you
line.
put me on Dior. I have to put Janae on Dior first, because I feel like
You can
get her
ride.
tired
Yeah.
and then I can get on. Going back to the industry, where do you see oh, I'm sorry, what are some of your biggest success factors in terms of, the industry that you're in for, career coaching?
Um, you know, I think, I don't know if I should base my success off others, but my goal, right, for my business is to create resumes, cover letters that are capturing their story so well that they're getting more interviews, right? At this point, I don't have control. I don't have control over if you land the job because after I give you your docs, it's all on you. So I'm hoping that once I branch into coaching, we can work on that with clients as well. But like when people text me or email me and they're just like, this looks great. This is better than I've had before. You really can't, like someone said, oh my gosh, this cover letter, like it made me tear up because you really, portrayed my passion about training. And I was like, yay, yay. Like that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I have these consultations to understand your passion. And so then I hear people it's like, yeah, I've gotten a lot more interviews since I got, started using your resume versus others. So those are things that make me feel like I'm successful, right? That one, clients are happy. My process is collaborative. I'm not out here and being like, all right, I put it on a template. Here's your stuff. We work together to get it just how they want. And then finalize and we're, done until they need me again. Um, so yeah, I think just them being happy, getting more interviews, and of course, landing the jobs is what I feel is successful. Or even this might be something small, but we're going through a rough time now, especially the federal government. And I can relate to them because I was in the same situation as well. I have Fed clients and they just talk to me and people kind of come, they haven't had to do their resumes in years, right? And if you haven't had to do it, sometimes it doesn't look that great. And I've seen some, and when I talk to them, like, you have done so much great work. It doesn't reflect in this document at all, with four little bullets. And so after I give them their stuff, they're like, wow, I feel really confident now. I've heard that a few times. They're like, I feel so much better and I feel confident in what I have done. And that means a lot, right? They haven't even started using it, but it's just like how you framed my language and my skill set really makes me feel better about myself. And I've had a client, director level, and she, you get laid off and you feel a way, like internally, right? It kind of sets you back and you're just like, what? I'm not valuable. And we're talking and just talking, right? And giving her my opinion on stuff. And she's like, just having the conversation with you really makes me realize like I've done really great things. And I'm like, this is what it's about. Like having confidence again, because it got rocked over.
So let's talk about the process of using your services, because I think that that's important that we highlight, right? You said it's collaborative.
Mhm.
So I'm just not giving you my old resume and saying, hey, fix it, right? I'm not sending you something that I did back in college in 2004 and saying, hey, and it has like my pancake house experience on it and when I worked at the bar and then my first federal job that I had for, the next 17 years after that, right? So
Mhm.
like break down to me that process in terms of it being collaborative, the back and forth that you go through with one of your clients when you are, when you take them on as a client and then they say, hey, I've only had one federal job after college. I stayed here for 17 years. However, at that federal job, I held four different positions. How does that work?
Right.
That would be me, right? I
Right.
would
Right.
come to you. So I'm giving you a real life example, right? I worked at a pancake house. I worked at a bar. I worked at a public accounting firm. And then I went straight to the State Department.
Mhm.
And I was at the State Department for a really long time. However, at the State Department, I held four different positions.
Right. Yeah. And I'm laughing because I was like, no, I get resumes with the pancake house, the bar, all the stuff down to like when we were in high school. And so I take whatever documents my clients give me, right? And so resumes, PMAPs or PPAs, I don't know, depending on your agency, right? So your performance reviews, if people are comfortable, they send me those because those capture a lot of great metrics, a lot of great accomplishments. Some folks have been like, oh, I worked on this try to do this cover letter. So whatever folks want to send me. And some people send me a lot of stuff. And some people don't send me a lot of stuff, right? And so we have our consultation. Like I said before, every single service has a consultation, except for like a resume review, where I get to know you. So your career goals, where you want to go, what level you want to go to. Do you want to do a lateral? Do you want to move up? Because that helps with framing the language and how I'm going to present you, to your skills and your strengths, to then your professional experience. And we talk about all of them. So like Amanda, you're like, oh, I went in State Department and I was there for several years and I moved up. So I don't lump in if you did different positions within State
Mhm.
Department or whatever agency or what company, right? I had somebody that worked at Deloitte that had been to Deloitte but moved up. I break those positions out because it shows career progression, right? And it shows the different levels of complexity in your work. And so the more junior stuff, yeah, I'm going to make those more concise. I'm going to maybe have, depending on the space on the template, two, three major bullets that are really strong and show your impact. And then I'm going to progress from there. So the more senior you get, the more bullets I'm going to add to show your value. And all the language I use is in order for me to show your impact, right? Not just what I did, but like what you did, a little bit of context of how you did it, and then how you impacted the organization positively. And like, this isn't just for feds or just for seasoned professionals. Like my entry level clients, I do the same thing because it doesn't matter what level you're coming at, you are there to make a positive impact and show. So I show that at the appropriate level and complex, with complexity with the language. And the collaboration piece of it is, so yeah, we do the consultation and then I prepare everything. I have the drafts. I send that to my clients. They review it. And sometimes I have like notes in resumes. Like I have to get it down to 2 pages for my seasoned folks or my entry level. I have to get it down to 1 page. But I've captured a lot more good information. So I put it in a notes and I'm like, hey, these are some other options. If you prefer, I keep these in. I scaled it down this way, but I'm going to tell the story how you want your story told, right? And so I give people options. Sometimes people are like, I don't know what kind of job I want to apply to. So can you just give me a long resume and I'll cut where I want to cut? Because it's easier to cut something versus having to think about what to put back in. So I give people like 3 page resumes, 4 pages if they really want it, so they can just slice and dice how they want. So it kind of depends on my client's needs. Um, if they're like, oh, give me a little bit, I trim it down to 2 pages. Here's some extra stuff. Maybe this isn't what resume writers should do, but this is how I feel like is you provide a better service, right? Hey, this is what I think you should submit. Here's some extra language because you have to go back and tailor it to these different jobs. These bullets that I took out may be more aligned with what you're going for once you start searching. So I give people more options to use that align with different types of roles. And then, yeah, so it's just, hey, here's your draft, review it. What edits do you want me to make? I make edits. I'm like, hey, does this look good? Yes. Oh, what about this? Sometimes things pop up in people's mind. Oh, I did this, or I forgot about this. How can we incorporate this? Or, I had a client that I just worked for that I'm finishing up, and she, it's very important for her to convey that, she progressed to an entry level role to a senior advisory role in 5 years. And so she's like, well, what do you think about this? So I added that language in there appropriately. So it's the collaboration is that part, right? Getting it to where you want it to be because, I had a client tell me, it's like, yeah, it was before we met, I was using this big company, right? You upload your stuff, your documents into the system. And then they were like, oh, great. They responded in like 48 hours. And they're like, oh, fill out this questionnaire. And it took him hours to fill out the questionnaire and give them all this information. And and he showed me the system and I was just like, this is not personalized. This is putting more work on the client, in my opinion. Like people don't want to write resumes. That's why we're here. And now he had to basically write it and they just kind of piece it all together. And so
Right.
he's just like, I'm glad I met you because they were also charging me to try to speak to somebody. He was like, and I got to just talk to you and talk about the things that I want captured in my resume. And so I say all that because that's the collaboration piece. And that's where I feel like AI and automation is great to get things done better, quicker. But the human is still needed. The human touch is still needed to really pull everything together because a robot can't capture the essence of what you've done over the course of your career, like a person can. So,
So I feel like you've given us some like golden nuggets for free here. A couple things that like I honed in on was my resume should not be as long as my employment history is, it should not be 16 pages, right? We're I should not send them from like the day that I started working until today, right? We are scaling that bad boy down to how many pages you said?
for seasoned professionals like us, 2 pages.
Two
Now, if you're
pages.
going for like a VP, senior VP role, and you've had
Right.
extensive leadership experience, like I had some colonels in the military, they're fine for 3 pages, right? But
Mhm.
everybody else, we need to dial it down to two, or those federal
Okay.
resumes have to shrink up.
Okay.
Go back 10 years, maybe 15, but 10
All
years is
right.
good, you know?
Okay. 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 And then for entry level, we're doing
1 page.
1 page.
Yeah. And if you're early entry level, you know, high school, college, even like early career, like you're maybe 25, 26, and you've had one, maybe two professional jobs, we can stick it on 1 page and just and really highlight your skills.
Good. So I think that that's super important because I know I went to a professional resume writer years ago and she gave me this like 10-page document. Um, it was I felt like a superstar, right? Like as I was reading it, I was like, oh my goodness, I would hire me. But I realized that as I was going through the job search process, I had to dial that down quite a bit. You know what I mean? Couldn't, I didn't chop it in half. I chop it in like 1/6, right? Because it was just, I mean, it basically like started from birth. It was crazy. So we are definitely dialing down our resumes. Protect particularly for the job that we want and the stage in our life that we're in. So I like to hear that. Um, where do you see this industry going in the future? I mean, we've talked about AI, we've talked about Chat GBT, we've talked about the humanistic touch that is still needed in resume writing and cover letters and just, you know, applying for these positions. But where do you see this industry in the future?
That's a hard question. I don't know. I feel like, because I'll be transparent, with everybody. Like, when I started this, when you start things, sometimes you have imposter syndrome, right? You're just like, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. And then you start doing it, you're like, yes, I can. And it's like, I'm actually very good at this. And like, I don't know why I was doubting myself, but it was like, there's so many apps and tools being marketed now that are like, oh, you don't need a resume writer, just upload it in this, right? And so it's more and more automation. And I think that's the way it's heading, right? All these tools that people can use, self-service tools, right? You don't have to hire anybody. You can just plop it in there and hopefully it gives you a good product. And so I think that's the way that it's moving. But I think it's going to still come back to, like, at least listening to my clients, like, come back to this service still needs to be personalized. And so I don't know, maybe that's me thinking for myself, right? And the longevity of my career, but I think it's going to head more automated, but we're really still going to have to have to have the people behind it, really crafting it, really QR, like looking at the language being used, making sure it's not over tailored, because you can be like, oh, I want this job. Here's my resume. And AI will make you sound great. And then it is not what you've done. It's literally just kind of pasted in what the job says. And that's not accurate. We don't want to get inaccurate documents, right? We want to just frame our language, align ourselves with what the job is, especially when you're making a pivot, right? Just different field, different industry, different type of job. I don't know if that answers the question. I think it's just, I don't know, but the automation piece is coming out strong, but I just don't think this needs to be fully automated.
So, what I got from that was there is automation. You can definitely use automation to make yourself sound great. However, remember, there is still an interview portion where you are going to have to, present yourself. And if your resume doesn't align with the way that you're presenting yourself, employers are going to know right away, right? That obviously you have used an AI tool to articulate the way that you want to be presented. However, once you interview, they realize, hey, you really don't, you're going to still be talking to a professional that knows the job inside and out and has the skill. So if you don't necessarily have the skill set, everybody, let's just remember that there still is an interview portion and you're still going to have to present yourself. Um, I'm in a situation right now where I am interviewing people to help me watch my daughter.
Mhm.
And just like, as you were saying that, I can definitely tell the individuals that used AI to, write their bio for me and those that did not once I interview them, because there's definitely just like certain skills that they can't speak about that they wrote about. And
Mhm.
then, so everybody out there, just remember, if you don't go to somebody like Simone and you just to say, hey, I'm going to throw all my information into this tool, just remember that there is an interview process.
Yeah.
And that is where we talk about, the humanistic touch that you put on everything. So I am happy that we're kind of bringing that up because that's big now.
Yep.
What advice would you have for someone that's looking to access this industry? Not necessarily the industry of resume writing and career strategist, but maybe just an entrepreneur, because you are an entrepreneur at, that has started in your own field.
What advice you say? Gosh.
You talk about self-doubt. You talked about how you didn't think that you could do it, but look at you now. You're
Was
doing it.
just about to start. Yes, just about to start with that. Like, I don't know, the imposter syndrome. Again, oh, other people have done it and they've been so successful. And oh, well, there's so many services being offered like this already, so many companies. And now I'm like, okay, and just there is enough space at the table for everybody to sit. There is enough food for everybody to eat. You have to offer something that maybe stands out a little bit. And for me, I feel like that's my customer service. Because I'm like, even if my client's like, oh, I had a client that wonderful client, and she, for her resume, instead of saying I've, she wanted I have, right? And so little things like that were important to her. And so it's my job as the resume writer to go back in and put I have instead of I've throughout all her documents. And she's just been very appreciative of that. And the hey, I'll look at this, I'll fix this, that, and the other, because people can get okay, all right, I'm done. But that's not the attitude we have. And I come from a retail background, 10 years, and it's like all that foundational work in retail has really helped me. So circling back, the imposter syndrome, it's like, don't doubt yourself. Or if you do, eventually you have to work out of it, right? And I just was talking to people, and, my boyfriend, my partner is just like, what is wrong with you? Like, you've been doing this for so long. It's like, I really have. So fighting that fight, not giving up, figuring out what really works for you. For me, as like staying true to who I am, because I can't be anybody but myself, right? And I feel like for me, I've gotten a lot of referrals so far, and now starting to get more of like people that I just don't know.
Mhm.
But the referrals have come in because I worked very hard in my career, and people can speak to my work ethic and speak to me putting out good products and me to being a good person, right? And so that has helped. And they're just like, she hasn't done my resume, but she did a whole bunch of stuff when I worked with her. So, go. I approve of Simone, and so I think leaning into like that as an entrepreneur has helped me. Trying to think, oh gosh. I really think those things right now, to like the customer service, not letting the imposter syndrome get you down, and just being genuine to who I am. Because if I go out and I have to talk to people, I want to be myself. I don't want to be a robot. I want to be comfortable. I want people to see my personality. Yeah. And I know how to do all I know how to write the resumes, but just presenting myself in a way that's relatable.
Right. What advice would you give yourself 15 years ago?
Oh gosh, so much. So,
If we all could just go back.
listen, so much advice, particularly pertaining to this. I think I was so, until, the rift came, I was so stuck on, I need this certain type of stability. I have this life and, chart my path. I'm gonna meet all these goals by this deadline. And the older I get, I'm just like, oh, well, I have gone down plan A, B, C, D, E. Now I'm going on one, two, and three, right? And so telling little Simone is like, you just be flexible, right? Yes, I've changed all these things, done all these things, but like I wish I'd have been more like easier on myself, right? We talked about the not hitting these deadlines, life deadlines and stuff like that, but like not stressing out about that, and just an accomplishment is an accomplishment regardless of at what age or stage in your life you achieve it. And so giving myself just grace with that type of stuff, and pushing myself, like, get out of your comfort zone. Like, I feel very good about this entrepreneurial journey. 2 months ago, I can't say that I felt that, right? But now I'm just like, 2 months, that's recent.
First reached out to you, you didn't feel.
Yeah. I was like, God. And now I'm just like, this is it. This is what I need to be doing. And so I wish I would have been like, build something for yourself before. But hey, we're all on our journey, right? And so my journey just started 2024, 2025, and that's good. So yeah.
And that is okay. That is, I always grew up with these preconceived notions that I have to be, married by this age. I have to buy a home by this age. I have to have kids by this age. And, I stressed myself out trying to obtain those goals and making wrong decisions in the process because I felt like, oh, I have to have this by this age. Says who? Says nobody.
Right.
Like you don't have to. What you have to do is follow your own path, be true to yourself, follow your own heart, and all of those things will come. And I think that anybody listening to this today really, really gets that from this interview that, things are going to happen in life. You're going to get derailed.
Mhm.
You are going to have to chart other courses. You are on A, B, C, and D, and now you're on one, two, three because life, right? When life happens, you just don't know what you're going to do. And I love that you're honest and candid about that because I myself have had things thrown at me at different times in my life. And I'm like, really? Now? Okay. And we're going to have to move with this, right? So that is super important. And yeah, if we could all go back, we would, but we're going to make the best of where we are right now and move forward.
Yeah.
And I love that for you. So we are down to the end, but why are platforms like Functional Training Zone important to our listeners?
Oh my gosh. You and Quincy reached out to me and, told me about FTZ because all we did was talk about horses, right? And I was like, oh, we're talking about
Right.
the professional things we do now. And so I'm just so appreciative because the mission is incredible. And, it's focused on young people, particularly young people. And just, we were at the career fair yesterday or 2 days ago. There we go. And
Mhm.
people don't, like, when we were in school, like, you learned, oh, I can be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, and
And
maybe a
that's it.
handful of other things, right? I didn't know I could be a resume writer. I didn't know about human resources, what I spent most of my career in. And then, going to the career fair is like, there's so many options. And so I feel like FTZ exposing younger people to the options that they have is incredible, and getting them access to the career development services that they need. You need to know, first off, what do you want to do? And your mind is going to change 1,000 times. And that's totally fine because you might want to do this. And now you're like, okay, maybe I want to try these things because they are options, but how do I get to where I really want to go? And so I think FTZ is doing great work with presenting options to the youth and getting them access to, hey, interview prep, document preparation, You need to know how to go to these interviews and represent yourself in the best way and make connections. And I don't feel like I got that when I was younger. You just had to kind of figure it out. And I don't even know if these things are offered in schools right now. And so it's like these outside resources need to be brought to the community. Um, so yeah, everybody needs access to this type of stuff, from the beginning, the middle, the end, all of it. So I love it.
You're right. In terms of presenting yourself, I remember, my first job, I didn't know what to wear for the interview. Like I had no clue what to wear because up until that point, I had never worn a suit or dress casual. I remember going to my college roommate and I was like, what do we wear? And we were like piecing clothes together from her closet and mine to like figure this whole thing out. So you're right, like just not knowing. And I'm happy that, hopefully we are providing the platform for individuals to ask those questions, to come to us if they need the resources, if they need help, if they don't know how to tie a tie, if they, are going to a job interview where they might not need to wear a suit, but it's appropriate to wear something else. Not every interview requires a suit, but it's important to always present yourself for the job that you want. So thank you for mentioning that. That is super important. Last but not least, I know we mentioned it at the beginning, but I just want our listeners to really know how they can get in contact with you, how they can gain these great skills from you, how they can have a consultation with you, and where can anyone find Simone?
Right. So Instagram. So ProWorkz with a Z, not an S. So ProWorkz CS is how you can find me on Instagram. My email is proworkzcareerservices@outlook.com. And then my website is proworkzcareerservices.com. So just remember the Z, but spelled pretty much how it sounds.
Thank you so much. I am super excited. And we will definitely see each other around. Everybody, thank you for joining the Uncommon Connector podcast.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It
Gets the people going. No!
It's your boy JR dropping them beats.